Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?
So season 1, episode 2 of Atlanta. The name of this episode is Streets on Lock. And the episode begins with the last one, or kind of like the summation of what the last one was. So obviously in the last one, there was a shooting incident at the end that they never really explain. But obviously Owl and Ern just don't want to be really pinned for it or don't want to get in trouble for it, whatever. And so it just starts with what's, in my opinion, the greatest interpretation of a local jail situation that I have ever seen on TV. It is more realistic than actual jail shows, in my opinion.
You've been arrested for weed. It's not that bad, right?
It's not as good as not getting arrested for weed, man.
The way that when the episode is first starting, it's just him and Al before they're getting processed, and they're just talking, still laughing, still having a good time, because they didn't have a big thing. It wasn't a huge charge that they're going for, and they're in Atlanta, so it's probably kind of normal what's going on, but the way that they're still laughing, the way that they're still kidding around in this situation is just it's so perfect. Because that's how, I've been to jail one time in my life, and it was for something small, weed-related type stuff. And I was in there for longer than they are in this show, that's for sure. But still not that long at all. But I was able to observe how you're still telling jokes. It's still life. It's not a vacuum of sadness, although just weird shit happens. And so as the episode progresses, and they're still sitting here telling jokes, and then they eventually recognize this woman from their past and from a music video that he recognized. And this is kind of the introduction to, or the idea that he's trying to grasp is anybody can be in jail. And that's an important thing, because I think also there are a lot of people who think that jail is reserved for people in our society who are bad and go to jail. No. People find themselves in jail all the time for all types of reasons, especially when you're our color. And while they recognize this lady, Ern is he's doing a good job. To me, it's clear that Donald Glover has been to jail, or he's really talked to somebody who's at least done in these small county jails, because the way he's composing himself is how somebody from his background that we find out later in the show was in Ivy League school, had such a high trajectory in life, middle class family, a good standing or whatever family, 2-parent household, how he ended up in this position, and also this old. Because a lot of people from the hood, this would be an old age to be your first time having some type of small run-in with the law or something like that, or even be dealing with it at all. Because I had it earlier than this multiple times, and I was from an even better background probably than Ern is of the character in the show. So with all that being said, I think the entire show, he does an amazing job of displaying character appropriate anxiety and confusion. I was saying that to say Ern is just asking questions, and he asks stupid questions, but stuff in jail doesn't make sense. So when you ask questions, you sound dumb, but you're not dumb. The system that you're fighting against is dumb, and so it's a confusion of idiocracy. And then you go to a lawyer that tells you some other shit that doesn't really make sense, but it's extremely expensive. And so it's these type of things that Ern is fighting, and so he's asking Paperboy these questions. Paperboy isn't really at no point in the show, Paperboy's from the hood because he almost so he has some of the things that you would have to be his character, but he's really not that deep in the streets either. And so so Ern is looking to him to be the person that has dealt with a situation before. But Paperboy really, to me, is man, I haven't really, I've dealt with this, but because I think he went down for some small weed shit, but it was never a big deal. but Paperboy is also just handling it better because he's been through it a little bit. He's been in a little trouble. So Paperboy gets bailed out by Darius, their friend, Lakeith Stanfield's character, and then they head out, but Earn hasn't been processed yet, so he can't leave. And that's where it also gets interesting, because jail is a very solitary experience at the end of the day, especially when you're talking about local jail waiting to be processed. Like, everything's going to move at the time it moves. It's going to move as it goes. You're not going to be able to push it. You're not going to be able to rush it. You're not going to be able to do anything. It's just you get through when you get through. And that's what Earn goes through for the rest of the episode. And I'll probably get more into that here in just a second. Because while Earn is going through that, in one episode, in the next 20 minutes, after Paperboy is walking out of jail, and so the cop comes and takes a picture of him, you just start to see his rise within one episode, I realized.
But 106.5 The Jam been playing Paperboy all morning.
In this episode, Paperboy is really having a meteoric rise. But the way that the irony works out with the episode of having that meteoric rise and things should be going well, like his life is getting harder and scarier and more difficult. And so that's the theme for Paperboy. While he goes through that, Earn is going through like his first trial of the show. Really, like that first thing that's going to make him tougher, but it's also, you realize, the first thing that brought them together. They're sitting there laughing, kidding around, but like while they're sitting in jail, that's something that's a bonding experience. That's how I saw that, because they needed to go through some type of adversity in order for Paperboy to trust Earn. There's just no way that, so like that's kind of had to be written in to me, but it's also accurate, because they hadn't seen each other since they were younger and they were kids, one thing, and Paperboy already didn't trust Earn for real. So they kind of had to go through a little bit of adversity to get to where they were. So as Paperboy is leaving jail, obviously the cop asks for the picture, and he flexes that he was the person that arrested Gucci, which is just the weirdest thing to flex to somebody who just got out of jail. But that's kind of a knock against cops, in my opinion, that little line, just because it shows kind of the out-of-the-loopness that some cops may exist in.
Well, you know, when they told me a rapper was in here, I had to come snap a pic. And get on in. Hey, you listen to Gucci Mane?
Yo.
Man, I lock that nigga up.
I don't know. Or in that situation, just weird shit, because as a celebrity, you're obviously in a horrible place, but you're still a celebrity in that horrible place. And so the weird shit after that starts for Earn. Earn is trying to get Van to bail him out, and he's doing a good job, because it's scary. You have the cop behind him listening, and then he has this strange dude just staring on through a window, which weird stuff will happen just like that. And then he would be talking on the phone, but at the same time, he's a little bit worried that she's not going to come get him.
Really big for me, and you, too.
I swear, and maybe this didn't happen to other people, but everybody's a little bit worried that people aren't going to come get you. Because once you're in jail, you're not leaving until somebody comes to get you. And so it's really up to them, which is a scary amount of power when it first happens. And then, of course, in the next scene, Earn is dozing off in the chair, and they come up, and they're like,
There's no sleep in here. Sit up.
That line is what told me, in my opinion, that Earn has been to jail before. Donald Cleffer actually in real life has been to jail before, because they will tell you some stupid, or whoever wrote this, whoever helped him write this, because they will tell you some shit like that. There's no rule book. It's literally what that person just tells you to do in that moment. And giving that power up in this space, it's a weird feeling. And we all know that like Atlanta thrives off the weird. Atlanta thrives off of like that awkward position that you get put in, or that the character gets put in, and just not even understanding it. Right after he's told you're not allowed to sleep, the guy in front of him starts telling the story about how he got into jail. When I went, like, that's just what people do. Like, every single person's going to want to tell you their story, and everybody's got a sob story of why you shouldn't be in jail. Nobody has ever really, I mean, not just say nobody, but almost nobody feels like they should be in jail. And so he hits that element right there. Like, how many elements he combines into one scene. No, you can't sleep. Bam. Somebody hits him with a story.
What you do to get in?
Um,
Damn, man, I should have just went home, boy.
Bam. The guy who tells the story is telling the story about the guy in front of him. Like, that's all, like, the audacity of people in these situations just because they're pissed. And how he's saying, I won't get out of here till Tuesday because that's when my check comes through. And you think about the days. These lines are just, I'm probably harping on them too much, but I'm like, damn, like, that's, the writing in this show is unbelievable. Because I'm getting out on Tuesday, I don't remember what day it is, but it's probably not the weekend. We're talking about a man's about to be in jail for 4 days waiting on his check. Like, that's insane. What do you think about it? But it's 100% reality, and it's 100% reality that Earn doesn't want to hear about it. And so as Paperboy goes to his next stop, this is what I'm talking about by meteoric rise. So the cop, he's big enough for a cop in jail to take a picture with him. That's the first mark that he's growing. Darius is sitting over here doing what Darius does. How he, like, Lakeith Stanfield plays that part perfectly. Like there could be no other Darius.
As humans, we're always close to destruction.
Like they couldn't, if they had this show and Darius went away, the show wouldn't be as good. That's how much I love that character. But this scene, oh my goodness. So many more elements. So first off, they go straight to smelling the box.
There you go, man.
Al clearly has some issues. If you hear the line,
I don't like people watching me eat, man. Make me feel like I'm in a zoo.
that is trauma. If you can't eat in public, to me, there's some trauma there. But that line isn't random. There aren't random lines in this show. There really aren't. And so since there aren't, like, I have to believe, like, he's revealing Al as a character as he needs to at this point, because we're still in episode 2, so we really don't know what kind of man he is. We don't know if he's good. We don't know if he's bad. We know he's in this situation. We know he's a growing artist, but that's all we got. And so now, because he just evidently shot somebody, or the news says he shot somebody, this dude said he...
You one of the last real rappers, man.
And Paperboy doesn't really know how to receive that. What does that mean? Like, you get praise for the strangest shit. So, like, because rap is about, like, making music, but this dude's saying you're one of the last real rappers because you shot somebody. And then he says the way that he rewards him is by adding the sauce to the wings. And they don't show us the wings. They make it like...
Lemon pepper what?
Oh, my God.
Hey, yo, man.
That's the element of, like, fake in Atlanta. Is that, like, they don't even show us the wings. Like, that's such a basic food. But that is something that people, I guess, I think everybody, but especially in the black community, like, just love. And then there's certain combos that most people, unless you're really rich, might not pay up for. You get on a special day, but I'm not gonna get it wet all the time, type shit. Like how he got the wings wet in the episode, but he got hooked up, and like they knew he's popping now. Like that's a way that Donald Glover is conveying to people that he's popping, is that he's getting these type of perks as long as he acknowledges like the cook and shit like that. But the guy said,
Don't let me down, man.
Like, what does this mean? Don't let you down. What, do I need to shoot somebody else? Do I need to stay real? How do I stay real? Because the dude's like threatening him, but like still encouraging him at the same time. And Donald Glover has been famous, obviously, for a long time at this point. So I can imagine that a lot of this stuff has to be stemming from real life. Not necessarily that type of stuff, but like stuff that when somebody encourages you, but you don't really know what to say because you don't really know how to interpret it. I'm not very successful in life, but people have told me some suggestions before, but I'm like, all right, I guess. Thank you. So Paperboy is next at the gas station, and he just had that altercation, obviously, in the first episode, and he's been having problems. And so he gets in the car and he just pulls away. His intuition is taking over.
I don't know who give me a cocktail now.
It's just showing that Paperboy is not. He's realizing how much he's growing, and it just happened in like a couple scenes after he left jail. And then obviously it takes us right back into jail, and one of the old guys, asks Donald Glover or Earn,
Hey, you gonna eat that?
for his sandwich, and Earn's like, you got it, because he doesn't want to eat it. And that's the sign of somebody who's planning on getting out soon, but if you're not, you're like in trouble. And the dude's like, and that's where an old head that looks like that, and you're sitting there in jail, and you'd be like, why are you here? Why are you here? And like, how did this old guy do something bad enough to be put in jail? What? Oh my goodness, bro. People be in jail in canes, in a wheelchair. What did you do? But he's like, a lot of them have been living a life where they go in and out of jail. And when he received it, that it was a surprise. And that, like, if you see that face on a new guy like that, you can take his food, especially if you know you finna stay in that hole. And then here comes the mentally ill man, who then drinks toilet water while everybody laughs. And since Earn is new to this element, like, he doesn't realize, like, these are the people that are in jail. Like, when you go to jail, you see there'll be old people in there. There'll be mentally ill people in there. There'll be all types of people that just get taken advantage of and are just thrown in the system over and over and over and over again. And he's just learning all of this, and like I said, all within his first setback within the show.
Boy, you up in here every week cutting up.
He's in here every week.
With that jail scene ending and with the different elements he adds in there, somebody in that writing room has been before, because that was like pure genius in the types of people that be there. Regular middle-aged guys complaining, old people, mentally ill people, and just a normal dude like Earn will just be sitting next to each other, and the system gets enough of them for our jail to be full all the time.
Hey, look. He dipping his cup in the toilet.
Oh, man. He gonna drink it.
Paperboy is almost like tired of growing, like, already. You can tell he's like already stressing out, and he hasn't made any money yet. He hasn't done anything. He has a song on the radio that Earn got on there, but he obviously, it's too fast for him to felt anything. And I can imagine Donald Glover's had this feeling before, but of being bigger than how much money you are. So people are about to start treating Paperboy, and have now for the last episode and a half, started treating him like he's rich, but he has no money. He has nothing. And that's like the worst situation to be, because people are looking to him to have money, but he has nothing. I said that jail scene's over. We're gonna go back to a jail scene here in a second. But talking about this one, so then Paperboy goes on a run, or he goes on a walk, sorry, and then he sees these kids outside running, and the kid plays like he's shooting a girl or whatever, and
just like Paperboy, girl.
Then the mom comes out, and so any black person would know, like, black kids don't be allowed to play with guns often. There are some, I'm sure, but I know that that's a common theme because of, like, it could just be mistaken for anything. You mistake it for a real gun if the kid looks just old enough Like, it could be dangerous for that child. And so, obviously, he plays off of that theme. But then Paperboy is walking by as somebody says, I smoked you like Paperboy. And now he's realizing, right now, just from that song and just from the news and stuff like that, the impact that the lyrics he has and the image he has on it. Because Paperboy's not really like a killer like that. Kids listen to it. And so right then, he sees how he's growing. And so he has this conversation, and as soon as the woman does not care who he is and is annoyed by him, and then realizes that he's Paperboy, and then she wants pictures with him, she wants solo pictures, family pictures. He's growing, and he's blowing up, and he doesn't know how to handle it. It's like confusing him, and it's been like a couple days. He's been on the radio 24 hours at this point. And I can imagine it happening that quickly, because, especially locally, because all these people don't really know how to handle you. Are you a celebrity? Are you normal? You've been around here. You don't have a lot. How do I hear you on the radio, but you look the same and dress the exact same as I saw you yesterday? And so as Earn is in jail, he sits next to a trans woman and a dude that used to date the trans woman, evidently in the scene. And the dude that used to date the trans woman, is not because he used to date her, but the man's crazy.
So you think I'm gay?
No, I
This nigga gay as hell.
Shut the hell up, man. Y'all niggas is tripping.
For sure. And he gets called out for being whatever. And Ern is just caught in between it. Because I think people think that everybody that's in jail, if something happens to you in jail, like you're causing problems, like problems just arise around you. And in this scene, he shows now this perfect element. Like, people that have been to jail will tell you that problems just arise around you, and there's not much you can do about it. You can do your best to just stay focused, whatever, but trouble can find you in places like that, especially when a lot of the people are crazy. So then the most Atlanta thing of the episode happens. A man in a Batman mask, but he pulls up the Batman mask before he asks, so he's not even really trying to hide his identity. He pulls up the Batman mask, asks if Paperboy lives there. Darius, dumbass, says yes. The man runs away, and he's like, oh no, you're too hot. Well, first off, why would you say yes? Just be like, at least say, I don't know. And then the man runs off, because like somebody got to disappear in Atlanta. In the same way the dude, I think it was in the last episode where the dude's riding the bus, right? And he gets off, and he walks off in the bush. Like, some Atlanta shit has to happen. Somebody just disappeared, and you don't know what just happened.
Paperboy live here? Yeah.
And then the next point in which I think that Earn has been in jail, like that feeling of relief in his face as soon as they would call your name in that type of situation, or you know you're about to be free, that is also an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling to know, especially somebody in his position that's unsure about how the system works, unsure whether somebody's going to really come pick him up, and then he actually gets bailed out and he gets out of there, and it's perfect. And it's not really his fault at all, but he has to apologize for it. Like, people get caught up in positions, and Earn is earning his way. That's not even a joke, but Earn is like earning his way into Paperboy's like good graces. But it came in at the time, a high price. Because it absolutely sucks to be in his position. But as he told Van on the phone earlier, he has plans. And so we're now about to see Earn try to earn Van's trust and earn Paperboy's trust and like fulfill his own stuff. And then Paperboy has got to now figure out, all right, I'm not making enough bread, but clearly my name is blowing up in these streets, and it's not all good. Like, people eyeing me, people know who I am. I need to watch my back. But that was Season 1, Episode 2, Streets on Lock. I'll see you guys next time.
I'm him.